if people see you on television, there's like this psychology where people go, oh, that must be a really legit business, or she never would have been on TV.
And your worth is not tied up in a press release and whether or not.
Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. You guys are in for a sweet treat today. Today, I am interviewing a member of my Creators Next Level Mastermind. Her name is Michelle Rupp. She is just a doll. You're going to absolutely love her. If you end up watching this on YouTube, she's just got a dynamic energy about her. She's lovely, she's fun, and she's super smart. So Michelle's background is that she was actually an Emmy award-winning journalist who spent almost 20 years in her local news. She was the one that created, launched, and produced Arkansas's first lifestyle show, which was called Good Morning Arkansas back in the year 2000. And that show is actually still running today. Michelle left the industry a few years ago, gravitating towards communication and PR. And her expertise right now is, although, still in television, that's where she got her start, but she's really helping small business owners across the country get publicity for their own small businesses. And the reason this is vital for you to listen is because some of the things that Michelle and I are going to be talking about are things you've never even considered. You're wondering how some of the people in your industry have gotten a lot of attention, a lot of eyeballs on their store or their coaching or whatever. And Michelle's going to give you kind of a peek behind the curtain. And I want you to really pay attention, listen. You're going to want to sign up for an event that she has that's totally for free at the end. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Michelle. Well, hello, Michelle. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to have you here because you're just full of energy and life and bubbly and bright and knowledgeable. And I'm super excited to introduce you to my audience. So audience, this is Michelle. Michelle, this is my audience.
So nice to meet all of you.
Oh gosh. Okay. So what I love most about you is your desire to help small business owners
Yes.
get some publicity for their business. And I think that there is this hope by business owners that they will just be found out. Remember when Pamela Anderson, wasn't she at a baseball game and somebody showed Pamela Anderson on the Jumbotron and she got discovered? And yes. I think all of us as business owners are hopefully my business will just get discovered. People will stumble across it on the internet, or they'll somehow find my Facebook page, or they'll somehow find my website. And it doesn't really work like that.
Right.
And so I love that you are giving small business owners advice and strategy on how they can be found in a way that their business gets the publicity that every business needs, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, every business needs
Every business does. Mm-hmm. And even for people who are let's say doing well in business, and I'm using that in air quotes, but there's still always we could be doing weller, and publicity is such a huge part of that. So tell me about how you are using your background and your expertise right now, in particular, to help small business owners.
Well, and that's a great question, because a lot of times when we think of publicity, unfortunately, we think about it when it's a crisis and when it's negative.
That is really accurate.
And, and we're having to react. Okay, well, let's flip it and let's look at it from the positive side. I was telling someone that publicity is the feels. It's how people feel about your business. Do you have outstanding customer service? Are you a delight to work with? And that's the image that we want to put out there. And so I use my background. I've got an extensive background in communications, and I like to put that to work for small businesses, because in an effort to get discovered, sometimes that can come in just a little positive media attention from your local news. And then ta-da, it catapults you and puts you on the map.
100%. I have done, I think a lot of local television in Kansas City.
That's right.
And I love live TV. I love it.
Too.
I have drug, Ava has been on a television show with me, or not a television show, but the news station. They had her paint something on there one time. We've had the news to our house. I love local TV in particular. I just absolutely love it. I think it's delightful. And I think it's super undervalued as a way to get your business in front of people. I just think that sometimes when we're like, let's say we're watching the news and we see a small business owner in our community on it, I think sometimes there's a tendency to think, oh, they just got lucky and somebody, asked them to be on the news, or, good for them that like the news is highlighting them. They must be at a certain level. And that's not often the case. And I know we're going to talk about that on how you can, try to get your own publicity, but I do want you to share it with our audience. I know, but our audience doesn't, on why like helping the small business owner is really important to you personally. We talked about this in Kansas City at the Mastermind recently. And I was like, that is like so good for me as your coach to even know, but why are you so passionate for small business owners?
I have a very tender heart for small business owners, and it's because my parents were small business owners. When I was growing up, we owned a mom and pop hardware store. And for context, this was in the 1980s. And as some of your listeners and viewers may not have even been around back then, but some of them that maybe have a point of reference. We had big hair and big shoulders, and it was a great decade to be a part of.
It was.
And so, but they had a mom and pop business and were very successful. And then just as the times began to evolve, we began seeing the introduction of big box hardware stores begin to come into local communities. And that began to destroy the mom and pop businesses. And we see that across the board. It's not just hardware specific. We all know the stories of when big box stores come in and then the mom and pop stores just kind of die up and go away. And so that living through some of those experiences really made me think, gosh, I wish there was something I could have done back then to help get positive publicity for our store.
Yeah.
And in thinking about just how my professional trajectory has been, I thought that's exactly what I can do now. Is I can put the talents and skills that I've honed from my time in media to use with mom and pop stores. And it's interesting. I had a friend that I grew up with not long ago say, imagine if a business like yours, Michelle, had been around when your mom and dad had the hardware store, what that would have done. And I said, I know, that's why I've created it to exist right now. And so mom and pop stores are, can be sometimes a dying breed, and that it doesn't need to be that way. And so I want to do what I can to help shine the spotlight on these businesses and get foot traffic into their businesses, or internet traffic into their businesses to increase their revenue so that they stay in business.
Yeah. Because a lot of times when people come to me with a revenue problem, Jen, the business is not making enough money. I'm like, well, it's because you don't have enough, like a big enough pot of people to sell to. And publicity should increase your pot of people. I mean, that's literally what it's doing, right? It's giving you more opportunity to get eyeballs on your business, for people to potentially either come into your store if you have a store, like you said, or to follow you on social media if you're online, like the majority of, my business owners are. And so tell me why you think that like online businesses should be promoting or trying to get, some publicity, trying to get on television or radio, like when social media is such a big deal. Like, what can local media or publicity give small business owners that social media just can't?
Well, some of my clients will tell you it gives them a 40% increase in their revenue after
wow.
television. So
that is amazing.
There is that.
Yes.
I've had other clients that have said, we see an immediate response anytime we're on the local news. We have people coming into our brick and mortar. Now, what that means for online businesses is you still have a product. Even if you're an online business and you are selling a product, you are a product-based online business, you still have a product. And so therefore you still have something to show. Right. As it relates specifically to television, there's a phrase in there about viewer benefit, and it's all about what's in it for the viewer. And so when you have an opportunity to get publicity in the realm of television, what are you showing the viewer? What are you demonstrating for the viewer? How is someone sitting back at home drinking some coffee going, I just learned something, and reaching for their phone and going, where are they located again?
Right.
Oh, they're online. Oh,
are they on Facebook? Let me find them there. Yes.
How can I find them? And when it's done right, the anchor or the host will then say, how can we find you?
Yes.
And
100%.
opens the door for the online business. So the social media marketing and having an online business, I often say social media is one of the tools in that toolbox.
Yeah.
And traditional media, they work in concert together. And while you may be wildly successful at one, you can also be wildly successful at the other, while getting more clients, getting more viewers, getting more followers. And they really do go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sitting here thinking about, because my two favorite things that I've done in terms of publicity have been being on local television, then also on local radio.
Yeah.
Jason has made jokes before, like, you have a face for radio. And I'm like, that is not funny. I know, right? He thinks he's so funny. He actually is really funny. But anyway, I love being on local television. And what I always felt like is that introduced me to a group of people who didn't already follow me on Facebook, who weren't already following me on Instagram. And so what a better way to get in front of like local, people who, because then it's almost like there's this thing that happens mentally, I think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Michelle, if people see you on television or hear you on the radio, there's like this psychology where people go, oh, that must be a really legit business, or she never would have been on TV, or he never would have been on the radio.
It's
right?
instant street cred. I mean,
100% instant street cred. Yes. And so, and then what's super interesting too, is that after being on local television is then when I have been in conversations with people years ago when I owned my painting company about national television, about having a show, or about, so it's opened other doors. And I think that also, like in my case, when I did, a lot more local television than I do now in the coaching arena, but although I got to do a 3 or 4 part segment years ago on coaching in the online space, which was so fun. But it then opened other doors, like when, the Home Builders Association in Kansas City was trying to get guest speakers for the home show. Somebody knew me from social media and or television. They're like, oh, I've heard her speak. She can speak. Let's ask her. And so I just think, like you said, the street cred is so important. And, it gets harder and harder to get seen on social media every day. So
don't I know it?
Other publicities you can get, I think is so worthwhile. So if we have a small business owner who wants to get on, their local television, and again, you don't have to have a product. You can be a nonprofit. It could be, you're selling marriage counseling. You, have a coaching group, or you help people transition from public school to private school or something. So, how important is it, or why is it important, and how should somebody go about approaching their local media? Because that's what everybody's going to wonder. How do I get on TV, Michelle?
Hands down, the very first thing I would tell you to do is put together a press release. And I will give you a secret. Anyone in your field, and I'm particularly talking to like the brick and mortars here, any of your competitors that are in your field who may have enlisted the help of a PR agency or a PR firm, I guarantee you, they are sending press releases regularly about your business.
Okay. Why does when you say press release, do I feel all hivey on the inside? Like, why on the inside do I go, are those still a thing?
They are still a thing.
Still a thing. And I know just from conversations with you, but tell our audience about, because in my head, I'm like, nobody needs a press release. It's like writing out a business plan. They did that in the 80s and 90s and nobody does that. They're still doing press releases, aren't they?
They are.
Okay.
Yes. All the national firms do press releases. I mean, this is a fundamental, and really to make it super, super simple, at the end of the day, what is a press release? It's a birth announcement. If you're a mom, think in terms of a birth announcement. I mean, it's that 30,000-foot drone view of your event or your business or something that you're highlighting. It's typically a page, maybe a page and a half. And it answers the 5 W's and the H, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. And that's it. And you just position it in such a way that it's a memorable press release, but that it presents and it provides the critical information to the people on the other side, the media, that makes them look at it and go, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. So
Call them and see what they're doing.
yeah, you spoke in front of the mastermind event that we had here in Kansas City in November.
Yeah.
And I love that you talked about like, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially, when we see people on TV. Um, I heard you say maybe it was in answer to somebody's question that like television in particular, they're always looking for good stories and people that they can have come in. And so I think sometimes we think, well, if they've seen my store, maybe they'll invite me to be on, or if they follow me on social media, maybe somebody that works at the station will follow me on social media and they'll ask me to come on, versus us being in the position where we approach them.
Yep.
And so tell me about that. I mean, all stations need content, right?
They do. They do. And the closer we get to the beginning of the new year, and once we get into the new year, the more, for lack of a better word, desperate they become for that content, because they still have X number of hours of news that they have to fill, and the content gets shorter because now we're out of the holiday season.
Yeah.
And not as much is going on. So yes, it is very important to get this press release, to position yourself, and to just ask. Just ask. And part of that ask is putting together a press release.
Yeah, I just did a podcast episode on making an ask. It's just a couple episodes back about how a lot of times I'm not good at making the ask. And there's a lot of reasons that a therapist would have a heyday with. And I talk about that on that episode. So you can go back and listen to that, whoever is listening now.
I have heard it actually.
Reasons we, especially as women, don't make the ask. And it's fear of rejection, and it's not wanting to need help from anybody, et cetera. But when it comes to business, I think we really need to get over ourselves and, and be like, the one that's in a position of offense and versus defense. So tell me, why would a business like need a press release? Like what types of things would you do a press release for?
Depending on the size of the business, you would want to put together a press release. If, let's say, you are donating proceeds of holiday sales to a local nonprofit and you're going to do a big check, or even if you aren't going to do a big check, send a press release.
I'd never even thought about that. That's a great idea. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. You would want to do a press release there. If you are, I have one client in particular that went through a natural disaster, and they built back, and we were sending press releases regularly about them building back and coming back and when the doors open. And so anytime there's a catastrophe and you have kind of the phoenix, you've risen from the ashes there, you want to get that press release out. The media loves a great, great comeback story. Yeah. And so I would do that there. If you are a medium-sized business, maybe you've scored a great hire, make that announcement. That you have hired someone. If you are giving away a scholarship to student athletes or students in general, put that in a press release. Yeah. And I would even say, maybe there might be someone listening who's thinking, yeah, I mean, that's great, whatever. I don't want to be on TV. I don't want to be featured in the media. Then you know what? Still do the press release. Get that on your website and get it under like a newsroom or a press tab, and put it full with keywords for your SEO, your search engine optimization, so that at the very least, Google is picking it up and putting you a little bit higher, putting your business a little bit higher in the search engine. That's also another great reason to have a press release.
I'm thinking about two of my friends who own brick and mortars, and one of them just moved from one part of Kansas City to another. My friend Chrissy Huff, who owns Restoration Emporium. Like that's a great thing to put in a press release, right? I'm thinking about my friend Ellie Stedman, who owns the Pink Dinosaur in Zona Rosa. She just moved locations, but she also just had this huge launch of like Taylor plus Travis merch for Travis Kelce, because he's Kansas City plus Taylor Swift. And I have seen her content. Like I know that I think it was the New York Post did a story on her business. Like she has grown all these Instagram followers. So she's got a bigger pot of people to sell to, right? So those are all great things to do posts to, or to do press releases to. Well, let me ask you this. For those of us that don't have a brick and mortar, and so like, what would let's say Jennifer Allwood do a press release about? Would it be, like, I'm trying to think, would it be that I just had an article in Forbes magazine, or would it be like, give me some ideas of some things for a non-foot traffic business owner?
Yep, you could absolutely do a press release on being featured in Forbes. Anytime you have a book release, I would get a press release out there. Even if your Fear is Not the Boss of You goes into a second edition or a reprint, I would still send a press release on that. Anytime there's something new. If any of your listeners have a coaching, anything around the mental health space, where you're helping teens or you're helping adults, or get a press release out about that. If you are doing any kind of painting or any kind of DIY crafting, get a press release out there for that. There's another individual that's in the mastermind. She put together a press release for her business there in Kansas City. And off of one press release has had 2 newspapers. And I just checked, 2 Kansas City television stations actually come to her business to do
amazing
on what it is she's offering during the holidays.
I love it. So what would you say if somebody's listening and they're like, but does anybody even watch like the local news anymore? Does anybody even like read the paper?
I got clients that tell you they do, because they've seen, the proof.
100%. But I think too, like, because it's not just, so if you send a press release and you happen to get on television or radio, like, also then you can even take it one step further, and you can put a QR code on the TV and people can take a picture of that and it links to their website. It gets them on your email list, et cetera. And so it's like the press release is just like the first step almost to the thing that can actually really have a ripple effect. So I love that. Okay.
And it allows the business owner to put that on their website as seen on. We all love that.
Well, and so I was going to ask you that, Michelle. So sometimes I'll go to like a competitor's website, for instance, and I'll see as seen on. And a lot of it is like national television stations. And how are they doing that? Like, and let me just tell you this too. Oh gosh. Because sometimes I get approached by, do you want to be on the list of 50 over 50? It's $1,000 to have your name on the list. Yeah, this you got to pay to play to have your name on the list. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be on the 50 over 50 because I'm not 50 yet. No, I'm kidding. I'm definitely over 50. But then when I see people like as seen on Fox News, as seen on, Yahoo Online, as seen on business, something, are a lot of those things as seen on coming from the fact that they put out press releases and there was like an online article or something about them?
Very likely.
Okay.
There is one, in my case on my website. I did get someone, a client on the CBS Morning News out of New York. That is something that you can go back and actually watch the video, and the crew was here, and it was a whole thing. It wasn't just an online article. And I don't mean just an online article, but this was an actual, we had New York here.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was a blast. But listen, it doesn't matter how you get the publicity or where you get it from. If you have the opportunity to put Forbes or put Yahoo or put Fox or put CBS, you get that on your website. And let me add, because there may be the idea, someone may take this advice, they may go send in a press release and they don't hear anything. And they go,
well, guess that didn't work.
That didn't work.
Michelle was crazy.
Right. So what I would say is a couple of things. Number one, understand that in a newsroom setting and in a setting where you are sending emails or press releases to producers, they are fielding anywhere from 100 to 300 emails a day.
That's a lot.
I don't know about you, but when my inbox is robust,
delete.
I do a mass deletion.
I love that word, robust.
And I've even had producers in the industry that have said, Michelle, follow up.
Yeah.
We need people to follow up because there are, even with the best intentions, sometimes emails get caught up in the mass deletion and they never saw your press release in the first place. So give it 5 days, follow up. And even if you don't hear back, keep going back to it. I've had a client who said on her third press release, and she was in Atlanta, they're getting ready for an event, and a television station, the news truck pulls up, and she went, what?
Amazing.
After, on the third try. On the seventh try, they're in Rhode Island, and a newspaper reporter walks in and is asking to speak with her.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, do not take it personally.
Yeah.
Do not think that, oh, well, they don't want.
They ignored me. They don't want me. Yes.
Or there is your value and your worth is not tied up in a press release and whether or not someone has responded to it.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking of how many missed opportunities I had back when I owned my painting company, because I didn't write any press releases. I didn't do that. I didn't know. You just don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't
I mean?
know.
And so I love that you're helping people to actually know right now on the podcast. But there were so many cool things we did, extreme home makeover. We got to do that 3 different times. I flew to Belize for a client once. The only time I did like national television when I owned my painting company was when I had a blog post about turning 40 and doing a triathlon for my 40th birthday. And NBC, the one with like the Today Show with Matt Lauer, sent out a camera crew to record myself and my girlfriends in spandex on national television training for a triathlon. And in retrospect, I'm like, why couldn't that have been about like my painting company or about my, coaching business? Instead, I'm in spandex diving into a lake with, mascara running down my face on national television. But I wish that I had known then just about the value of the press release, because I think it could have even grown my local business even more. And the truth is I haven't done anything in terms of press releases. In a decade. So like, because I kind of thought it was a dying thing. And so now I'm sitting here thinking of, I need to think of going forward, even in the coaching industry, of writing press releases. And because when I think about like some of the other people in my industry and I see them getting press, I know it's not just like, that's not by accident. They either are writing probably press releases or have somebody doing it for them. So
that's right. Or they have had experiences with media and they have continued to nurture that relationship. Jason's got a new business adventure.
He does have a brand new business
needs
adventure.
A press release.
Let me write this down. Okay. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So I need to write a press release for my husband.
Yes.
I know you teach people how to write press releases.
I do.
Tell me and everybody else who's listening, because I think you have a free workshop coming up, don't you? Because
I do. Yes.
So you've convinced me, and I am such a bad wife. I hadn't even thought about writing a press release for his golf apparel company. Okay. Tell us what you have to teach us how to write a press release.
So on December the 6th, Wednesday, December the 6th,
okay.
It's a free workshop.
Okay.
It's taking place via Zoom. And it's at noon CST, and it is the power of a press release. And so grab your sandwich, grab your tea, grab your breakfast, depending on what time zone you're in, and join me. And I'm going to walk you through the 7 parts of a press release and how important each part is. And you'll walk away knowing how to write a press release for your business.
Okay.
And we're doing it live. I'm the one doing it. So you'll be able to ask questions. We'll have a Q&A section, and there will also be a replay. So if someone happens upon this podcast and it's after December the 6th, you can still go to the website and register, and we'll ship that replay out to you so that you can understand and be able to go, okay, I know what to do to get a press release done. And for those who say, that's great, I don't have that kind of time, that is a service that my company offers.
Yeah. Perfect. Tell them the website of where they can sign up for the free class.
Definitely. Go to memorableresultsmedia.com. Memorableresultsmedia.com. I'm also on Instagram and LinkedIn, Memorable Results Media. You can find me there. But if you go to the website, there is a button there for the workshop. There is a course that will be coming as well. We're going to talk about it in December, and then we'll actually do the course in January. Perfect. There'll be information on the website about that too.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I had zero intentions of signing up for that in complete transparency until you just made me realize, oh my gosh, Jason does need a press release for
He does need a press
Fairway
release.
Finest. Yeah.
He
And
does.
so thank you for that. I will be signing us up yet today. So Michelle, thank you for being here. And
Thank you for
those of
having
you
me.
who are listening, go find Michelle, Memorable Results Media, on Instagram, on LinkedIn if you're there, on Facebook, and go to memorableresultsmedia.com to sign up for her free class. I love that you're doing it for free. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And I love that people are going to walk away with like a tangible, meaty, they got something out of it. They're walking away with something, you know what I mean? Versus it's not going to just be fluff. Like they'll actually have what they need to actually come out and write that. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It's coming from someone who's been in the industry. You could Google how to do a press release, but it's
That's
whatever
a really good
it's
distinction.
whatever Google serves you, you know?
That's a really good distinction because you're playing both sides of the court right now.
Yeah.
Like you've been on the one side and, you know, so you know how it needs to be served up in order to be received well and published. That's
And
great.
I've had reporters and friends that have said, I mean, just recently, we're so glad you're doing something like this because we get bogus press releases all the time. But if someone can cohesively put together a good release, then we know, oh, okay, let's see what we can do because we love doing local stories. So
well, it's like putting your best foot forward and, you know,
absolutely.
appearing to be professional. So that's great. Michelle, thank you so much.
You're
It's
welcome.
been good to have you here. Thank
Been
you.
fun to
We've
be
never
here.
had anybody on talking about publicity in this manner. So in 500 plus episodes, you are the first. And so thank you for being here. And we'll see you. I'll see you in person real soon.
Yes, you will.
All right. Bless you. Thank you, friend.
Thank you.